Hi, and welcome to the coaching section of Paint Yourself into the Picture. I'm here today with my guest, Tanya. Welcome, Tanya. It's so wonderful to see you here. Tell me, how can I help you today?
Oh, hi. I just need help really with moving on. Just being able to appreciate things in life that maybe I'm not appreciating.
Hmm.
And particularly after a traumatic experience as well.
Hmm.
So,
When you talk about appreciating, let's just start there. What would you like to appreciate? What's in your mind when you say I want to be appreciating more?
well, I think that I can have I do have a critical part of my ego. When I look at people, instead of seeing the best in them, I can possibly see them as a potential threat. It's just being appreciative of everybody, regardless of who they are and what they are.
Hmm. Okay, so I understand what you're saying. That's a really interesting point. Now, a lot of times I look at life like a mirror. So what we're seeing in others is sometimes, like, if I'm feeling very critical of someone else, I can be sure that I'm feeling very self-critical at that moment. So self-love is a really, really important concept in loving others and feeling open to others. So um, you've come a long way in your life. Let's just shift gears a tiny bit, because I've read your bio and it's very, very impressive. You did experience a lot of trauma in your life, and you've really done so much in terms of rising above a lot of the experiences that were given to you, and not only rising above, but taking your children with you and doing your best for your kids. And that's a really tremendous accomplishment. So I want to actually look back on the good. I'm sure it was a struggle too. I mean, that's life and that's normal. And everybody struggles with their kids no matter what. And everybody has things, well, I wish this was a little easier. I wish this came out better. But for the most part, I would say you've risen above. Would you agree with that?
Definitely, definitely. I've not really. I think it's when you actually hit your worst in life that you've got that ability to get up and fight. I've certainly got that because I've done that quite a few times. But I think you have to reach a point in your life where there's no other way for you to turn, if you know
Hmm.
what I mean. And then
Yeah.
you've got to start fighting for yourself and what's important to you.
So what's interesting to me when I talk about you is I see that there's that spark where when you
Mhm.
hit bottom, there's a spark in you that said, come on, fight, fight. And that spark is self-love. To me, it's a big part. It's not the only thing, but that's a huge part of when you identify, like if you're drowning, and
Mm.
you identify that piece of you that's fighting to get back to the air. That's not just pure survival, that's also self-love. That's the will deep inside you. So let's look at that moment, that turnaround moment. What would you call that moment when you feel that spark in you, when you feel it flare up and go, no, no, this is not going to happen this way, I'm not going down?
Um, it's difficult to put into words, but for me, when I decided that, it's like I almost put a massive shield around me, and I thought nobody else is going to get in now. That's it. That's enough. The only people that are going to be in my space is the ones that I love and care for, and nobody else. So I kind of got emotionally stronger, but at the same time, it was like I was withholding love, but I was giving out more to the ones that were important to me.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was it. It was that really.
you were protecting yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
I really feel like I should hand this over and you should be coaching here. You have to understand, and what I'm trying to help you understand is how much you know. how much you know how to do this, and you protected yourself and you protected your children to the best of your ability. And I know that there's a lot of sadness around that, because that meant locking some people out.
Of course, and you know, I think that once you do that and you realize just how much they impacted on you, it's only when you step out of the situation that you realize that that's not really healthy for me. I'm going to go and find people that are like-minded, that you know, appreciate me for who I am and know what I can give to them. So yeah, that's kind of how it was.
There you go. Well, you know, it seems that you have, in a sense, you know, this tremendous tool of how to go forward, how to protect yourself, how to guard what's precious to you, and not just your children, but in yourself. So today, you know, you've come so far. So what's the major obstacle today? Is it simply I want to feel happier? Or is it I want to achieve something that's kind of not happening for me? What could you help me understand a little bit more?
Well, I tend to be stuck in life. You know, I feel like I've come a long way, and you know, I've chose the right kind of people, but my relationships seem to fail in some way. I think for me, my self-esteem, even though I'm strong and I've been through all this, I do fight with my own self-esteem quite a lot, and I think that can cause problems within relationships. And because, you know, one minute I'm really strong and I know what I want and nothing's going to stop me, and then all of a sudden the next day I'm waking up and thinking, oh, I'm just not strong enough to do this. So it's like I'm having an internal battle with the strong and the weak. You know, maybe it is my self-love that I need to develop, but I think I always feel like I'm not worthy of happiness or you know, good things to happen. So
yes, I have just a little, for me, a lot of times just having a new concept in my mind can really make a big difference. And I want to actually put a concept out to you that I think is going to be helpful, because I think more than you might suspect, people have this kind of inner dialogue. You know, I'm super confident, I'm strong, I know what I'm about, and then like I'm shaking in my boots and I can't do this. So what I want to offer you is the idea that they're both, that you are both. You're both. You're a mix, and so am I. And I don't mean this in this kind of duality in any kind of pathological sense. I just mean it that we have these parts within us. So if you can accept that I am strong and I am weak, I am strong in these ways and I'm very weak in these ways, and that they coexist, so that when I feel strong, yay, but when I feel weak, it doesn't mean that I'm not strong. Because that's the problem with thinking either or, because then the minute you get weak, you're like, oh, this wasn't true. This was a lie. I can't really do it. But if you accept that they are both there, you go, today I feel weak. Today I need a little extra love, or maybe something else, so that you can find out, instead of to let this weakness overcome the strength, you can find out maybe how to help the weak part.
yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like the situation of us and them, isn't it? You see it as a divide as opposed to collective. So yeah, I think, yeah, I'd agree with you on that, that I'm seeing them as two poles apart, aren't I, really, when it's me?
Exactly. And when you look at it as poles, or even use the word poles, and it does feel that way, I agree. But it actually makes it seem even further apart. But just think, you know, these are parts of me. Sometimes I feel middling, sometimes I feel like superwoman. And sometimes I feel, you know, really vulnerable, really weak, or I'm really, you know, you've been through so many traumatic experiences, and the pain of those is still existing within you. So you've come through and you've processed a lot, but coming through trauma is a really long process. You know, there's a kind of an ongoing need for healing that happens.
Mm.
So there's a lot of compassion that that weaker side needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And if that compassion,
go,
sorry.
yeah. No, please.
No, I was just going to say, if that compassion is not available, then you tend to just brush things under the carpet and then move on.
Yes, yes. Now, exactly. So self-love is offering the compassion to ourselves.
Yeah.
So the compassion, it's comes from you. And you're the only one that can be what you need. There's nobody. I mean, people, you're very wise to bring nice people, helpful people. But ultimately, when we're alone with ourselves, the compassion. Well, if you, for example, let's look at it in a different way.
To see the rest of this episode, click on the link below the video now. You'll be glad you did. Are you still here? What are you waiting for? Click on the link below the video now to see the rest of this epic episode.